What on earth is happening in Nigeria? And can you explain how the U.S. has actually been complicit in allowing this to happen by blaming it instead of on ideology? They have pointed the finger at climate change.
Well, even just earlier this month, there was a pastor in Plateau State, and he said there are Fulani militants who are amassing right near villages. In this area in Plateau, I visited there. They had been attacked on Christmas Eve in 2023. I visited many villages there. One of the villages there, the first one that was attacked, 8 p.m. Christmas Eve, they came in, they burned the pastor's home. I was speaking with the new pastor because they killed the previous pastor. They took him and his family behind the church to a single tree out there. They said, this is where we found his body. In the morning, we found his head out in the field. And that's one death. 7,000 this year. Thousands before that. So this pastor who earlier this month was warning, sent a message directly to the army, said, they're amassing, they're about to attack, we know what's going to happen. The army, you can go read this right now on X if you have social media, put up a statement saying that pastor was causing disunity, misinformation, and we're watching him. That evening, 13 Christians were killed in those villages. No apology, no action taken, nothing. And he's warning about it again. That happens week after week after week in Plateau State, in Benue State, in Kaduna, throughout the Northeast, throughout the Northwest, and it's shocking. It's true, there are people, both Nigerian officials and people all around the world that deny this entirely. That there is no religious persecution, that it is just land grabbing or it's climate change.
Not just the Nigerians. The State Department's official position for years has been that the Fulani militia are nomadic herdsmen who happen to be Muslim, but that's got nothing to do with it, and they're being forced to move south from the north. Nigeria is roughly Muslim north, Christian south, and these are the villages that are along that line of demarcation, and that they're being pushed into these Christian villages and they're clashing over resources.
And when the Biden administration removed the designation from Nigeria in 2021, the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, many of the people in the room said that was shameful. And it made no sense. There was no explanation given. I think there is this sense sometimes that because it's Christians being persecuted, we're going to wave away that specific element. We're not going to pay attention to it because it's Christians being targeted. We're going to blame it. We're going to find every other excuse possible. But if you don't identify what is at the core, and these are jihadists, they are Islamists who are doing this attacking. There's 22 jihadist groups throughout Nigeria. If you don't identify what is causing that, then you're not going to get the resources there. You're not going to protect those people. You're going to do things like sending peacekeeping missions to the jihadists themselves to try to negotiate with them, where you negotiate that we're going to give land away that's been stolen from these Christian villages. The attack you mentioned where they were putting women and children in caves, those women and children were from internally displaced camps. They had already fled their villages because they had been taken over, and we still don't know. The estimate is 280, I think, who were killed in that attack back in June in Yelawada, Benue State. We still don't know the exact numbers because when they poured gasoline on their bodies and burnt them, their bodies melted together. It's absolutely horrific, and it is a shame that more is not being done, and we pray, we hope that this administration will do more. We'll put that designation back there. It's been amazing the last month, seeing how many people worldwide. You see soccer games, people unfurling banners saying, protect the Christians in Nigeria. And we need more of that. We need everybody who's watching to talk to their friends, to write the White House, to write their congressmen, to speak out and say, this is intolerable. It has to stop.
So one of the things I think people may not be aware of is that Nigeria was the scene of the first jihad, and the first caliph was Usman bin Fodio, and the capital of that territory was Sopoko, which is the capital of northern Nigeria. And you know, if people think that these things are very far removed from American politics, they may find it interesting that when Goodluck Jonathan, the Christian president of Nigeria, was in power running for election under Obama, his rival for the office was Muhammad Buhari, who was a former military commander who had tried to conduct a coup before. and failed. And when Obama was in office, he never visited Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa. And instead, during his second term, during the election, he sent John Kerry, Secretary of State, who went to where? Not to Abuja, the Christian capital of the Christian South, which is actually the capital of the country, but to Sopoko in the north, the historic bedrock of Islamic jihad within the ideology of Islamic jihad extremism. So, and interestingly, Muhammad Buhari, one of his campaign advisors, was David Axelrod. So these things are not as far removed from us as we think they are, and we have a very extensive role, actually, in what goes on in these countries that people are often not aware of. And I just wonder, what are the most urgent, give me 3 of the most urgent things the United States can do right now that will have an immediate impact on the ground. I know sanctions are important and all of those things, but right now, because the Nigerian government is able to deny this is happening, in part because the United States of America has denied this is happening.
It's a great question, and so the first thing is to just say it, to say what is happening, to say that the denials are wrong, to say that there is religious persecution, there's disproportionate targeting of Christians that is happening. A Christian is more likely to be killed in Nigeria than a Muslim by 5, 6, 7 times when you look at the populations. The Middle Belt is the area where the most persecution is happening, and that's where the most denials are. So we need more people. We need it'd be great to have more in the administration speaking out and saying those denials from the government, those are entirely wrong. This is happening right now. The country of particular concern designation, absolutely vital, because that's what's going to put pressure. You know, Nigeria, they value our economic relationship. They value the security assistance that we provide. And so, yeah, they should listen if we're saying, no, this is real. This is really happening. And I think that would go a long way. And then to follow up those specific points with action items and what we need to ask. Right now, the government of Nigeria has mostly focused on terrorism in the Northeast, which is very important. They've not really been winning that battle recently. There's been attacks on army camps over there from IS West Africa or Boko Haram, but that's where they've been focusing. They focused not one iota on the Middle Belt. They haven't focused that much on the Northwest. And so we need to tell them, you have to put those resources. When you get those early warnings, you need to go out and you need to find the terrorists and you need to defeat them. You have to return the IDPs. It's millions of IDPs that are sitting they're huddled together, thousands at a time, with horrible health care, horrible resources, and they're just waiting. They're not able to do anything. They're not able to build lives. They need to be brought back to their lands. They need to defeat the jihadists who've taken over their lands, make sure that's happening. And earlier, Congressman Walker mentioned some of the blasphemy laws. Nigeria has one of the worst blasphemy laws in the entire world. It's one of only 7 places in the world that you can be killed for given the death penalty for alleged blasphemy against the Prophet Muhammad. That's outrageous. There's no reason they need to enforce that. They need to repeal that. And so pushing to make sure that that happens. In Sokoto State, there was a young woman, Deborah Yakubu. She was a Christian student. This is May 2022. She was burned by 50 of her classmates, and they videoed it while they were shouting Allahu Akbar, and they put it all over the internet so that everybody would know what they meant. No one has been held accountable for that. Nobody is held accountable for these mob violence actions that happen again and again and again, and it's outrageous. And so we need to make sure that those things, those are the action items, those are the things that the government needs to do if they want to be removed from the CPC list, and if they want to have economic flourishing, if they want to have a good developing country. You can't have an economy when you have terrorists running rampant and burning villages all throughout your country, and especially in those agricultural areas that are the places feeding you. You have massive starvation in Nigeria right now because of these terrorists. It has to be put to a stop.